Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. I'm just here because I wanted to do another exploratory data analysis on an Excel data set for you. And basically, what I've done is I downloaded this data set off the internet, and it is like Amazon 50 bestsellers for a period of 10 years. So you have about 500 bestsellers over that 10 years, and then it gives you the user rating and the author and the reviews and the price, the year, and the genre. So what I was going to do is I was going to do an analysis of this, and because I've got some questions, and then I decided to answer the questions. So this is the CSV file right here. This is the data set right here. So we'll go over to analysis, and then what we will do is we will answer the questions that were asked and see how we go. So it says, what is the average rating of the books? And you get the average rating of the books by using the average function with C2 to C551. So that's 550 rows of data, and it gives you an average of 4.6. And the thing that you need to keep in mind is the fact that these are the best sellers, and since it's the best sellers, the average is going to be higher than the average would be if it wasn't a bestseller. The next question is, what is the distribution of the number of reviews received by the books? And so what I did was I created a histogram of the column of reviews, and whenever I created the histogram, you can see that it is a right skewed distribution is what the distribution is, because that was the question, is what is the distribution. The next question was, which book had the highest price? So we use the max function, and then we go into, for the bestsellers, table E2 to E551, and that will give you the highest price of $105, which is quite a bit. And it says, the next question, number 4, is, what is the correlation between the rating and the price of the books? And so we use the correl function, and in the correl function we ask for the rating, and then we ask for the price, and it gives you a negative 0.13309, so it has a negative correlation. The next question it asks is, what is the distribution of the genres of the books? Well, in this data set, we only had 2 genres, fiction and nonfiction. So it's kind of hard to make a distribution of fiction and nonfiction. So you had less than 250 fiction and over 300 nonfiction. So that was the distribution. So those were the 5 questions that I was asked about these Amazon bestsellers list. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll try to go ahead and do a dashboard and see where we go with a dashboard. So in order to make the dashboard, I had to make the tables. And so what you do is, in order to, you take the raw data and you keep the raw data, because if anything happens, you want to still have the raw data. And then over in the home, it says format as table. And then when you format it as table, it lets you know what kind of table that you want. So that's what I did to format it as the table. So I did a year, and we had years from 209 to 219. So actually that's 11 years. And so you had 50 titles for each year, so that would give you a total of 550 titles. And so I could have done any chart I wanted. I could have done a column chart or a bar chart, but I just decided in this instance to do a pie chart. The next thing we have is I did another chart with the titles and their ratings. So I made a pivot table with the titles and their ratings. And then I did something called, I used offset. And then whenever I did offset, then what that did was that took part of the pivot table and it moved it to wherever I wanted to move it to. And so I made sure that there were 10 titles on this offset. And then after I did the offset, what I did was I inserted a scroll bar. And this is the scroll bar that I inserted. And so you insert it, then you double click on it, and it said format control. So it says maximum value 500, and it wasn't 500, it was 550. And it says cell length is $F$3. So you can see I made a mistake there because it wasn't 500, it was 550. So we come over here to format control as well. Fine. And this was the hardest thing that I did, was putting the scroll bar in there. And I had to have some help. I had to look at another workbook that I was working on and see if I can figure out what I did. And the reason why is because if you look on the internet, the information provided on the internet to install this scroll bar isn't necessarily very good, or it wasn't very good for me either anyway. But the nice thing about the scroll bar is when you go down the scroll bar, if you can get it to go down, the scroll bar goes down, you see? And that's the neat thing about the scroll bar. And that's why if you have a really long list of items, it's good to put a scroll bar in there. So that's why we've got a scroll bar here. So that's the only thing that I did, and I decided to go ahead and try to make a dashboard. So what I did on the dashboard was I did the Amazon bestseller list. So we've got the year, and then so what I'll do is I'll make that a little bit smaller. And you can see we've got the scroll bar. And this one's working. I couldn't get it to work before. So what I'll do is delete. So I moved that over by deleting a column, and I deleted the column because I couldn't get the chart and the scroll bar to move. We can delete another column, see what happens. And then we can make F a little bit bigger. Well, that's not really working out. So we'll just keep it there for the time being. And then what you can do is we've got the scroll bar here, and you can set it up. We want to make sure this is 550 as well. So we do format control, we do 550, we do 550. So now we've got 550 on there. Try to move this over a bit. Okay. So you can see when you move the scroll bar that it moves the titles as well. And what we can do over here is we've got it set up for all 11 years. But let's say we just want to check 2015. So this is for the year 2015. And you can see there's nothing there. So obviously there's a problem. Let's try 2014 and 2013. So let's go back. So let's try it again. So let's try 2015 again. So there we go. So basically what happens is when you have the filter turned off, then it's going to be 550 rows of data. But when you have only one year located, like number 10, then it's going to be only 50. So that's going to be the problem that you've got. But I'm not going to do anything with this dashboard. I'm not going to make a blog post on how to make a dashboard because I found it to be quite difficult, and I'm just making the video just to show you what I did. So you can know what I did, how I imported the scroll bar, and how I got it to work. But I'm not going to make a blog post on how to make a dashboard for Amazon bestseller list. But I will make a blog post on the analysis. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. This was a bit of a difficult data set to cover because it had all of those names, and then you wanted to make sure that you got all of the names in there. And then in order to do that, you had to insert a scroll bar. We also had to use the offset command, and so the offset formula in order to do that. So scroll bars are not necessarily easy, and offset is not necessarily easy as well. It's just something that you have to keep practicing on, and obviously it's something that I'm going to have to keep practicing on, and that's why I made this video and wanted to show you what I did, so you can practice on it too. So I've covered everything that I intended to cover. So if you like my video, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching my video. And I'll be making another video for you in the very near future.